sun comes up, it's a new day dawning. It's time to sing your song again. Whatever may pass and whatever lies before me, let me be singing when the evening comes. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul, worship his holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul, I worship your holy name.
That's the way to start the day, isn't it? Bless the Lord, oh my soul. And we have so many reasons. That song is called 10,000 Reasons. We could start listing them right now, couldn't we? Say it with me. Psalm 118, verse 24. This is the day the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Remember Hebrews 3 and verse 13, but exhort one another daily while it is called today, lest any of you be hardened through the deceitfulness of sin. We're talking about doing right, and a lot of reasons for doing right, and a lot of the wrong reasons, wrong motives. And I tell you, if we've got the wrong motive for doing right, we're not going to do right in every situation. So today, I want us to think about doing right regardless of the consequences. You know, the guy at the white hat, he doesn't always finish first. Just because you do right doesn't always mean that things will end up rosy for you. I mean, just look at Jesus Christ. Jesus did what was right, and he had a rough path to take, didn't he? So let's think about that. Sometimes we do what's right only if it's advantageous for us. Let's say you're at work and you see a fellow, a coworker, reach into their pocket and pull something out. And when they do, a $20 bill falls to the ground, but the coworker doesn't notice it and just starts walking off. About that time, you see the boss is over there, and it looks like he can see what's going on. Knowing that, you go and retrieve the $20 bill, flag your coworker down and say, hey, I think you dropped this. Knowing that the boss sees you doing this good deed. Is that your reason for doing it? If it is, if the boss wasn't looking, then you would have reacted differently, right? You would have waited for the coworker to walk off and then say, hey, I'm $20 richer. We want to think about that. Do we only do right when it has an advantage for us? When I'm going to have some earthly temporal advantage by doing right? A lot of people do things with that motive. And if that is the only motive, when that motive is gone, we're not going to do what's right. And so, as we've said all through this, God knows our hearts. Hebrews 4 and verse 12, he knows our hearts. He knows the thoughts and intents of our heart. And so if we're not doing right because we think it's the right thing to do all the time, God knows that. So we're not fooling anybody. We're not fooling God. Give you an example of this in Jesus Christ. I know that we're all familiar with the example of Jesus Christ, but I want you to think about this from a specific passage. We're going to go over to John chapter 11 and verses 47 through 50 in particular. Now, I want you to remember the context of this passage. Jesus has just raised Lazarus from the dead, and a lot of people have believed in him because of that. I mean, obviously, who would not? I mean, anybody with any sense says this: if this guy can raise someone from the dead, then he's the real deal, and I should listen to him. But look at. In fact, we'll back up a couple of verses here and just notice this. Look at the various reactions here. It says, then many of the Jews who had come to Mary and had seen the things Jesus did believed in him, but some of them went away to the Pharisees and told them the things Jesus did. Then the chief priests and Pharisees gathered a council and said, what shall we do? For this man works many signs. If we let him alone like this, everyone will believe in him, and the Romans will come and take away both our place and nation. And one of them, Caiaphas, being high priest that year, said to them, you know nothing at all, nor do you consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, and not that the whole nation should perish. You know, there's to me, a lot that's going on in that picture. Caiaphas said this, we're told in the next verse, not of his own volition, but it was being revealed to him. He prophesied, even though I don't even know that he was aware that he was prophesying. But he was high priest, and God was using him. But isn't it interesting that he's saying it would be an advantage to us if we just take this fellow's life so that we can continue on with our life under the rule of the Romans. I suppose that a lot of people thought that Jesus was going to start an earthly kingdom that would be in conflict with the Roman kingdom, and they were enjoying protections and things under the Romans, even though they were bound to them to give taxes and tribute and all of that. But this mindset was, what is an advantage to us? Well, if we kill this man, it'll save all of us. In reality, they were going to put to death the one that would be a sacrifice for the sins of the whole world. It would be an advantage to the whole world. That wasn't their mindset, though. And so do we only do things when we think it's an advantage for us? Along these same lines, I want us to go over to John chapter 19 and verse 12, where you see someone with a weak character that is not going to do the right thing because it's not an advantage to him. And again, it's in regard to Jesus. In John 19 and verse 12, it says, from then on, Pilate sought to release Jesus. But the Jews cried out, saying, if you let this man go, you are not Caesar's friend. Whoever makes himself a king speaks against Caesar. When Pilate therefore heard that saying, he brought Jesus out and sat down in the judgment seat in a place that is called the Pavement, but in Hebrew, Gabbatha. Now it was the preparation day of the Passover, in about the 6th hour, and he said to the Jews, behold your king. But they cried out, away with him, crucify him. Pilate said to them, shall I crucify your king? The chief priests answered, we have no king but Caesar. Then he delivered him to them to be crucified. Then they took Jesus and led him away. Pilate sought to release Jesus. Why? Because it was the right thing to do. He found no fault in him. Nobody brought up any charges that could be substantiated that would be worthy of death, certainly not crucifixion. So he sought to release him. That was the right thing to do. But this crowd became more and more vocal, more and more unruly. And what advantage would it be for him if this unruly crowd got out of control and threatened his place as a Roman ruler? And so the advantageous thing for him was to release Jesus to them to be crucified. That wasn't the right thing to do, but it was advantageous to him. So to do the right thing would have been great disadvantage, and so he didn't do it. You know, some people, there's an old phrase, honesty is the best policy. And I get that. It is the best policy. But if I'm only being honest because it's the best policy, then I'm really not being honest for the right reason. For the Christian, our motto is honesty is the only policy. It's not the best, as if there's good, better, and best, and there's other options. No. Honesty is what our King demands, and so it's the only policy. So, if I'm thinking, well, I should be honest in this case, but I don't have to be honest in that case. I'm just looking at things that in the very short term. I'm not looking at the big picture. Sometimes you look at political candidates, and let's say something controversial like abortion, and you'll say, where does this person stand on abortion? And what we find out is the candidate takes a look at their constituency, the people that will be deciding whether they're voted for or not, and they see, where do you stand on abortion? And if that's where the great number of the people stand, then he says, well, that's where I'll stand. Now, is that doing the right thing? No. The right thing is, this is what's right because God says it's right. That's my place. That's where I'm going to stand. I don't care how many of y'all stand there. This is where I'm going to stand. And stay there. Even when things get tough, stay there. I want you to think, you remember a man named Zacchaeus? Little guy, short guy. He found out Jesus was coming his way. And so since he was short and there was a crowd, he says, I'm going to climb up a tree so I can see this fella. And when Jesus comes, Jesus notices him up there, says, come down here. I want to talk to you. And Zacchaeus has a good conversation with Jesus. Zacchaeus was a tax collector, and they were notorious for being dishonest people. They kind of had carte blanche with people because they collected taxes. They could make up things. They could say you owe more than you do and that kind of thing. And I think from Zacchaeus' testimony that he's not denying that he was involved in that kind of thing. But when he sees Jesus, when he hears Jesus and understands what Jesus is all about, he wants to change. And if you look over at Luke chapter 19 and verse 8, and this is Zacchaeus' response to Jesus. It says, then Zacchaeus stood and said to the Lord, look, Lord, I give half of my goods to the poor. And if I have taken anything from anyone by false accusation, I restore fourfold. And Jesus said to him, today salvation has come to this house, because he also is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man has come to seek and to save that which was lost. Now, did you see what Zacchaeus said there? I give half my goods to the poor. I don't think there's any reason to suppose he's saying, I have been in the habit of doing this. This is a response to his teaching that he's learned from Jesus. This is what I'm determined to do. And he says, if I've taken anything from anyone by false accusation, I restore fourfold. Now, I think it has every evidence there that he is admitting, I have done this in the past. Otherwise, why would you even bring this up? Now that I've heard your teaching, Lord, I want to change. Now, let me ask you something. Is giving half your goods to the poor an advantage to you? No. But it's the right thing to do. And if you have extorted something from someone, and now you're going to turn around and not give it back to them, but multiply it times 4 and give it back to them, is that an advantage to you? Certainly not. It's a disadvantage, but it's the right thing to do. Heard a story about a new preacher that came to town, kind of like me. I'm new here. But this fella, he got on the bus, and he put, at this time you had to put 50 cents in the box, And he got up there and he put his 50 cents in the box, and it fell through to the ground. And he went ahead and got on, and as he rode the bus to his destination, when it was time to get off, he walked back up there, and he saw that the 50 cents was laying there beside the collection box, and he picked it up and he handed it to the bus driver. And he said, "Here, this didn't go in." The bus driver said, "Thank you." He said, I had taken the bottom of the box off when I saw you. You're the new preacher in town, right?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, I had taken the bottom of the box off because I wanted to see if the money fell through, what you would do. If you would take it back or if you'd give it to me. And seeing as you've given it to me, I'm going to come to church next week and just take a listen to what you have to say." Now, it would have been an advantage to him to pick his money back up and stick it in his pocket, but that wasn't the right thing. It was the disadvantage to give it back, but it was the right thing to do. Do you do the right thing only when it's good for you, or because Jesus says, if you want to be my people, this is the way you act all the time? If it's good for you, if it's not. Hey, if you want an example, just look at Jesus. When Jesus could have called 10,000 angels, he went to the cross. He did the right thing because it was right. Thank you so much for thinking about this. And, every one of us today, we're going to go out and we're going to do either the right thing or the wrong thing. And we're going to do it for the right reason or for the wrong reason. So as you go throughout your day today, think about Jesus, how he always did the right thing for the right reason. You want to talk more about this? Leave a comment here on Facebook or YouTube, or send an email to me personally or to the church. Speaking of the church, we always want to invite you to come and be a part of the services and the Bible studies that we have here at Stone Ridge. If you're in southeast Missouri or northeast Arkansas and anywhere near Jonesboro, we'd love to have you come. Sundays at 10, 11, and 6, and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. we meet. And if you want to meet to study the Bible anytime in between that, we're always available for you. Hey, until next time, if the Lord gives us life and allows us another opportunity, I hope that you have a great day and that you do the right thing, whether it's good for you or not.
You're